There are times in life that we win, and there are times in life that we lose. It seems that we just entered a period of time where we lost something. We lost something extremely important for us as a nation. The Bet HaMikdash was the source of all blessings in our life. And we dedicate the Ben HaMetzarim, the 3 weeks, for that loss. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu should very, very soon bring back to us. And it seems that for the past few months, many of us just have been losing a lot. I want to talk about, of course, a loss of income, loss of jobs, positions, but there is much more than that. We lost contact, human contact. We lost touch with each other. We haven't seen each other, at least physically, for quite a while. People that we dearly miss, appreciate, and love. And I wonder how the world would even look like if we didn't have technology. It would have been terrible. I want also to talk about the loss of mind, because many of us really lost their minds in terms of what to do, what is the proper reaction in this pandemic. We just keep on getting double standard messages from the authorities and even from the doctors. Who to trust, who to listen to. Is the mask important? Is the mask working? Is social distancing something that is actually making a difference? When in New York, after all these protests, nothing really happened. We have all these questions and we are just so confused, and we feel that those messages and instructions are just being a political bias. So we definitely have the right to lose our mind in the proper reaction. But the greatest loss, the most precious loss, the most important one, the one that is the most relevant, that I would like to talk about today, is the loss of life. Because yes, unfortunately, at the end of the day, so many of us have lost dear relatives, close ones. And even if, Baruch Hashem, we didn't, then we at least know someone who did, or know some more that lost their lives in this pandemic. On a personal level, my grandmother, Mami Fortunee, alayha shalom, was buried this morning in Yerushalayim next to her husband, my grandfather, Papi Meir. And I am sure that she will enjoy now his presence both together in Gan Eden. She was the last of my grandparents alive. And I would definitely like to dedicate the Divrei Torah of today for the Ilui of her neshama. And so it seems that loss of life is also the vibe and the dynamic of this week's parasha, Parashat Pinchas. I want to remind you, what is exactly going on right now? In the book of Bamidbar, we started with Parashat Beha'alotcha to escalate in some kind of tragedy after tragedy, Puranut after Puranut, with first the Jews complaining about the man, the food that they had, and losing their life as a punishment for complaining about it. But it doesn't stop there. Next week, Parashat Shelach Lecha, we know the story, the episode of the spies. They go back with bad news about Eretz Israel, and once again, they die, and other people die with them. And it's not over, because in the week, in Parashat afterwards, Parashat Korach, things are getting even worse. When he's able to gather an important number of Jews against Moshe Rabbeinu, he dies, they die. And it doesn't stop just at that moment, it continues even after he dies. Thousands and thousands of Jews are dying in a Magefa. And last but not least, the afikoman of last week's parasha, the last pasuk, Vayiyu hametim b'magefa 24 aleph. When Zimri ben Salu, the prince, the Nasi of Shevet Shimon, the tribe of Shimon, had intercourse with a non-Jewish princess, What happened then? Pinchas killed him and her, but they were not the only victims. 24,000 men from the tribe of Shimon lost their life. So ad matai? Until when? What do we do next? Following the sequence of this week's parasha, Moshe Rabbeinu counts the Jewish people. And that seems a little surprising because, hey, you just counted them 7 months ago. At least wait for a year or maybe 2 years. And for what purpose? There was no collection. There was no mahasita shekel to collect to build the Mishkan. And God knows how many people we have. And you, Moshe, what do you care about knowing the numbers? So I think there is a very interesting English expression that may help us to understand what really is going on in this week's parasha. They say, cut your losses, and there are 1,000 ways of how to finish this quote. Cut your losses, but how? What do you do? How do you do that? How do you make sure that you start winning again? And I think that the Torah is giving us the answer. Bnei Israel just kept on losing and losing lives. And now is the moment that we stop. Parashat Pinchas is the moment that we are saying, die, it's enough. How do we do that? How do we move on? By counting each other. By counting how many members, how many people in my family are still here that have my back, that I can count on. I cut my losses by counting what's precious. Because when I look at them, I know that I will always be there for them, just like they will always be there for me. We will always have each other's back. And this is how we move on. This is how we start winning. This is where our entire focus should be on. The moment that we say, who do we have? Mil Hashem Elai. Because we can actually build, continue to grow if we just stay together, stick to each other. This is why Moshe Rabbeinu counted us, to make us realize that we still have people around us that we love, that love us, and that we can count on. This had nothing to do with Jewish demographics or some charts. This was just about moving on, growing up, going on. And for dessert, as we know, the Torah is not random. The Pesukim are just talking about the holidays. Right after we count the Jewish people, we talk about Rosh Chodesh, Shabbat, the Hagim. What's the connection? Why do we have to talk about holidays now? What does it have to do with any of the events that have happened for the past few parashiot? And I think the answer is follow that pattern. The Torah is giving us a tip. The Torah is mishamayim, and the Torah is telling us there are keys, there are moment keys in your life that you cannot ever miss. What we call family time, holiday time. When we gather all together as families, as a nation, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu together, because we call this moment Yera'eh kol zechurecha. We see each other. We can count on each other. Those moments are the key of our survival, are the key of our success, and are the key of how we cut our losses. Because we all know that when we reflect back on those moments, they are the ones that stick with us. They are the ones that really matter. They are the ones who really counted the most. And may HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Letzalotenu dai, bring us the Mashiach Tzidkenu, rebuild the Bet HaMikdash, and bring all the Metim back to life, Tehiyat HaMetim with all the Tzaddikim. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shabbat Shalom.